I'm your DM, Jay.
And I'm Jerica.
And I'm Haley.
And I'm Acquisition Incorporated Rhymes, or Air if you prefer.
And this is Insight Check, where we delve into the dungeon of your bad decisions and retrieve the treasure of wisdom. Alright, everybody, I'm back again. Everybody's back. Look at this.
All the gang's back together again.
It's true, Haley. I think you've been out for a couple episodes, is that correct?
I don't remember up to what point we have released yet. I recorded an episode a long time ago, I think.
We did.
It's been some time.
Cat cosplay last week. The episode was received tremendously. Of course, we've been busy with all the accolades and praise of it. It hasn't come out yet. We don't know.
But it will
But it will, yeah. We're sending that positive energy.
Beautifully edited.
Exactly.
No more curses.
Oh yes, it's been perfectly edited.
We believe in you.
I'll have a fun night tonight. All right, ladies and gents, and all in between, outside, above, and below. I believe that at this point in the show, we typically do a dungeon crawl. Question mark?
Dungeon crawl.
Dungeon crawl.
I have a very easy dungeon crawl this week. It came in the mail to me, and I'm currently fixated on it, so I will talk about it, which is my deck of mini. I got a deck of mini from the Deck of Mini Kickstarter. They are available for pre-order now because they're about to get their inventory in. It was held up by customs for a very long time, which delayed fulfillment of this Kickstarter. But what Kickstarter doesn't have delays, right?
True.
Yeah.
Good things come to those who wait for their customs orders.
Yes, that's it. I'm waiting on one that was supposed to be fulfilled in 2016.
Yeah.
How do you know you didn't receive the Mimic Chest already?
Oh, that's true. That's true. It could be
Are
here.
you
It could be
missing
my
a
right
cat?
shoe right now.
It could be. Are you missing a foot?
Yeah, there you go. The Deck of Mini is a set of playing cards. During the Kickstarter, it was very, very cheap to get all of them. It is slightly less cheap to get them now, but such is the way of things. But the cards all have monster statistics on them, as well as all the useful information you'd need to run the monster. So it's got their challenge rating, there's HP, their attacks, their abilities.
Does it have bests?
Does it have what?
Beasts.
Oh, yes. It has all manner of creatures. Now, it only has SRD content because obviously legal reasons they can't do certain monsters.
And what does SRD stand for?
So that is the Standard Resource Document, which is the list of non-copyrightable things that Dungeons & Dragons uses. Things like dragons can't be copywritten. Things like Medusa cannot be copywritten because those are all, owned by the common public. So it makes all this information free to the public since those things can't be copyrighted anyway. But things like beholders and mind flayers, those are not in the SRD because they are specific to Wizards of the Coast. So those kind of monsters won't be in your deck of mini. But you do get some very fun substitutes for these creatures, such as instead of the Mind Flayer, they include a card called the Behind Flayer.
No.
Instead of...
Oh gosh, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. It has some very funny cards in it, but mostly it's just standard resource document monsters and NPCs and things like that, all on playing cards, so you can quickly shuffle through the cards, find the monster that you need, and then you have all of its information right there. Very small and brief and reusable, unlike printing off a page that you're only going to use once and then throw away. So it's very, very nice, and I like it a lot. It also came with a deck of many things, which is a very powerful magical item in D&D, which you draw from, and it can have, cosmos-altering effects. Like, it has incredible power. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, so it's very risky to draw from it. So this has a full reproduction of all, 22 cards in the deck of many things.
I would like everyone to know that the complete set, 7 decks, at the moment, right now, as we speak, is retailing for $69.
There you go.
Nice.
69.
I had a little nice in there. I don't know if he's heard.
It's okay. I'll make sure to amplify that nice in the final cut. We really got to make sure that everybody knows it's the sex number. Hey, oh, 422, blaze it, y'all. Let's meme. Woo-hoo. Who else has got a dungeon to crawl around in?
I totally do.
To crawl around in. What is your dungeon? Where are you crawling?
I was really excited for the Stream of Many Eyes that happened this past weekend, June 1st through the 3rd. VOD's available on twitch.tv/D&D. I, among other streams like Girls Guts Glory and the DCA streams, was really excited for Deborah Ann Wall's Witch of Briarcleft stream, which I watched and enjoyed quite a bit. It's sort of its own self-contained thing, which was really exciting because a lot of the streams I've watched lately are continuations of years and years of storylines. But this was a great one-shot. I was a little confused how it fit into the theme of Waterdeep, but it was really well done.
I don't think it did.
Yeah, I'll forgive her. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, she was just running a one-shot. I think it's fine.
Homebrewed, even. So it was great. Yeah. Does anybody have any recommendations for our listeners if they weren't able to catch Stream of Many Eyes?
Tell me what I should catch up on first.
Yeah.
That stream had too many eyes. I'll go ahead and say it. I'll make a bold declaration here.
Too many eyes?
Too many eyes.
I thought it was just enough eyes.
Just enough eyes?
Well, let's see. I mean, here I go. I'm going to throw my gauntlet down with Power Score RPG in saying that controversially here, I will say that I think Mark Holmes did the best D&D session at that weekend.
It was a tight 90, was it?
It was a tight 90. I mean, he ran from the start of the campaign to the end of the adventure with 2 minutes to spare. They had to fill time at the end, and he got the whole adventure done. It was employing some very clever mechanics where the whole thing was a heist movie in D&D, and he had this mechanic where you could cite a flashback to get out of trouble.
Oh, that's sweet.
If the heist was falling apart, like a heist movie, you could say, oh, actually, we planned for this earlier. Here's a flashback to us, preparing a baby carriage with, like, some explosives in it. And then we had that prepared by the window to set off at this exact moment so that it would distract guard.
Very cool.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like a get-out-of-jail-free card. Each person had a flashback that they could use.
Now, I have not partaken of this stream yet. It sounds like I should. But was this after that gentleman got the stone? And did the stone come into play at all?
It was before the gentleman got the stone, I believe. But it had to do actually with receiving some documents on a lord. The same lord that...
Neverember?
Yes, the same lord that DCA was...
Neverember, guys, getting into a lot of stuff.
Exactly. They were stealing some documents to blackmail that Neverember guy. Neverember apparently created the Stone of Golor, so there's a whole overarching narrative through all of the shows if you watch them all in order, but you really do not have to. It's a lot. It's a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. I recommend Holmes, but really, Force Grey was really good. Both episodes of Dice Camera Action were really good.
Mwah! So spicy.
Dice Camera Action is going to be a lot harder if you're new to things, because it does have some continuity going into it. These episodes weren't particularly continuity heavy, but they, it's something to consider. They're going to make references that you're not going to get. If you want a totally fresh experience, Mark Holmes' game is completely self-contained.
Witch of Briarcleft, completely unrelated to
Briarcleft is completely self-contained.
But really charming.
Oh yeah, really good. Deborah Ann Wolfe was great. And her crew, I mean, the incredible Matthew Mercer, the amazing Mercer Ray, of course, Kate Welch, so good. Fan favorite here in this community. In this house,
yes,
we love and protect.
Yeah. Yes.
Love and protect.
Support and adore.
That's right.
We basically got to watch the reveal of the new campaign, split across two books.
So excited.
Yeah, I do like that they have kind of a 1 to 5 as like a quick. I like that they're chunking up these campaigns now into things you can buy a little bit more separated, so you can invest in the 1 to 5, and if your crew really loves it and they've come together and they want to, then you can go and get the entire Mad Mage under mountain dungeon of like it's a level like 6 through 20
Yeah, it's
non-stop
crazy. 6 through 20.
non-stop clusterfuck funhouse dungeon, which sounds like it would be a good time.
Yeah, I wonder if you can like teleport out between levels of the dungeon, or if you're just like in the dungeon.
Diablo-esque
live
kind of thing.
Underground forever.
I would probably, if I were running it, I would probably put like a teleport pad between each level. Like it would be like Persona, where you go into the dungeon each night, you clear like 10 levels, and then you leave, and then the next day you come back and clear 10 more levels.
Yeah, I thought it was like a Diablo thing, like a Scroll of Town portal or something like that. Or...
I cannot imagine.
I don't think this is Stardew Valley Caves. I think it's different.
Stardew Valley Caves. Take the elevator to level 25.
Exactly. I just can't imagine being in a dungeon for 14 levels.
My biggest hope is that Hallister's, the whole Arc of the Mad Mage campaign that was part of Acquisitions Incorporated years back, there was an entire floor of that dungeon that Chris Perkins, I'm really hoping like you could play that floor of the dungeon, because it was off the wall kooky banana times, and it was just the part we saw. There was like a Kool-Aid Man robot that burst forth and tried to get them to do things to a spigot. There was a room that turned into an entire like glade with dryads. I think it was off the wall.
I will say, Air, to that point, there was a tweet at Chris Perkins where they said, "Hey, Chris Perkins, didn't we once encounter a certain mech of that man?" And his reply was, "Funny you should mention that." All right. And Haley, you have not gazed upon this stream yet. Let me tell you.
Unfortunately, I have not gazed upon the stream. I have only feasted upon the product release information. I'm very excited about both of them because I think the Mad Mage arc from AI is like my favorite set of all of their adventures, but also Dragon Heist sounds super cool because I had some of my earliest interactions with like non-AI D&D were reading a lot of the Drizzt books. And so I think Jarlaxle
Tell me
like,
about Jarlaxle.
Jarlaxle is pretty awesome. He's like, in my mind, and I think it seems pretty accurate based on the art, he's just like an Underdark pirate dude. And then he comes to the surface and he's got like a whole shadow gang of followers, and he collects, like, he's got lots of magic items. He seems to be involved in lots of shady business. And I think
apparently the ruler in absentia of, it's like a whole city to the north.
Oh, Luskan?
Luskan, yeah.
Yeah, Luskan.
Yes, after all of the destruction, I think there. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've read them. I haven't read all of them, but probably like the first bunch of trilogies. But he's got there's some cool stuff there, and I'm pretty excited to see what they do with it. And to learn like a little more about Luskin. And he's like got a feathery hat. He's pretty dashing. He wears an eye patch. It's pretty great. So
can I divert slightly to a different outfit?
Oh, yes.
Oh, no.
Let us talk about this
wearing...
strange pirate outfit in the art boards.
Oh, no.
This has caused a ripple through the space-time continuum of the D&D fan base.
Yeah.
I looked at that art post after Chris Perkins had posted it for maybe 3 hours.
Yeah.
Every single comment was,
it was
who is this naked pirate guy?
What is
Zardoz
his deal?
Connery.
Yep, some people did identify the reference to the outfit that Sean Connery wears in the movie Zardoz, and it looks like a pretty accurate representation, except he's added a hat.
And it's purple. I think it's purple, right? Instead of like orange.
No, it seems like
orange?
brownish orange.
Brownish? I'm trying to pull up the picture now. Let's see.
But yeah, if you have not gazed upon the thighs of the pirate, you should.
I guess it is kind of brownish. He also is standing in front of a feast with a turkey and some lit candles. I don't know.
Yeah, those candles are lit.
I knew you were gonna say it. As soon as she said lit candles,
I
was
set it up.
like... Yeah, she
It
did.
was perfect. There's so
It's
many
like
pictures.
we've known each other for a long time. And it's just going to be the same jokes over and over
Those
from
candles,
now on.
those candles are lit, though. I mean, they are lit.
I know.
They actually
Like-
are.
Just, this is a factual comment. They are currently lit.
Anyway, so this pirate guy. Anyway, go back to whatever you were talking about before.
I did want to say that the most recent episode of Dragon Talk features a Lore You Should Know segment on Genasi, which has been of particular use to me as both myself and Jaraika in the most recent arc of our campaign are playing such. And I actually didn't know all that much about them.
Yeah, definitely not everything that they told us.
It was good stuff.
You told me about this, but I did not get a chance to. I have it downloaded, but I have not gotten a chance to listen. But I am very excited
What
to
is
feast my ears upon Genasi lore.
what is one cool trick that we should know about Genasi from this lore you should know? Give us one good
It's all
tip.
about the look.
It's all about the look. There was no standardization to the way they looked up until about 5e. They've been around since second edition, but they've been artistically, visually, vastly different in each edition until now, where they've got a fairly humanoid appearance with different colored skin, and each Genasi kind of thinks up their own tell. So they might have, dust pouring out of their ears if they're an Earth Genasi, or they might have, smoldering coal eyes as a Fire Genasi or something. But red skin, blue skin, green skin.
I think I actually watched the stream where they recorded this segment. Actually, now that you said that, I think that I recall them talking about this a while back.
Yeah, I think the podcasts are the very delayed version of their streams.
Mm-hmm.
So.
The segment was really good, though, as I recall. The information inside helped shape the Genasi in my homebrew world when I was making it back then. Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. That Lore You Should Know segment, that's good stuff. I mean, we really need to help them advertise their show. They need to get the word out about this little bitty thing.
Speaking of little bitty things that are being announced, there was some announcement today of a new, what I'm assuming is a new show that is currently just shrouded in mystery, but it looks like potentially some past guests are going to be doing a Hell's Bells show, maybe? Do we have any speculations?
I have so many speculations that are probably incorrect.
Oh,
but what I do
Mazmataz's
know
Hell's Bells thing
is Mazmataz is super excited about it. That's all I know.
Well, if Maz is excited, I'm excited.
Exactly.
Yes.
And me too. So it's at Hell's Bells D&D, and there's currently just a very mysterious video with some bell sounds and some cool glyphs, sigils. What would you want to call these? What's the difference between a glyph and a sigil? Sigil, right?
I would say a glyph holds magical powers in it. Sigil is a means of communication.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Then what's a rune?
If you know the difference between runes, glyphs, and sigils, leave a comment on iTunes explaining it to us.
And also 5 stars.
Yeah,
Also
also
5
5
The
stars.
5-star
And our
sigils that
favorite sigils,
indicate
yeah.
that you like us.
Yeah, exactly. If the meeting may come to order now, I think that it may be time. Sometimes on this show, we answer questions.
Wait, are we still doing that?
I think we are still doing it, Haley.
We're still answering questions? Oh, okay.
Every so often.
Sometimes.
We.
I mean, I know that you had to take
it's been a
break.
while. I wasn't sure. It's, I'm a little out
A lot
of
less
practice.
A lot less cat questions this time, which is just a bummer all the time.
Yeah. Cats all
we'll
day,
get
every
through
day.
Let's enlighten people by being cheerful about this episode and how awesome it is.
So this week we're discussing quagmires for DMs. Is that correct? We're discussing like pitfalls, traps, dangerous positions you can
That
put
you
yourself
might
in.
not be able to roll to perceive before you walk straight into them.
There you go. The dungeon of your bad decisions. This is
I'm saving you from your bad decisions.
I mean, I don't know what kind of show. It's like we're so on brand right now. It feels weird. Let's just get straight into it. The first two are kind of similar, which are about pacing. 2 questions about pacing the game. The first question comes in from user clavichord keys. They need to know if they're pacing the game correctly.
Sounds like he's wanting to know. He has a player who has been saying that they need to push people into acting
Okay.
rather than asking the whole group because it's been taking a lot of time, it sounds like. And
yes.
this person saying they're not comfortable pushing people in a direction just to save 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
And is this valid advice for a newer DM?
Okay, this is actually really good. This is right in my wheelhouse. I like this question a lot because this is probably the thing I'm worst at as a DM. I'm still learning a lot about this.
We are all always learning.
Yeah, I won't go off on a huge tear on this. I'll just say, as a DM, I often struggle with wanting to hit the next really good story beat and wanting to hit the next really cool moment that I know is coming. And the push and pull between that is that if I'm constantly pushing us to story beats, I'm not giving the players the time to enjoy the moment or to react or to contribute. I'm taking away their moment to shine. And that's not good because that's not what D&D is about. D&D is not me telling a story at my players. At the same time, though, it can be a problem if you're too relaxed. If you have a 2.5 hour game and you're too relaxed about the pacing, you can get through that 2.5 hours and nothing can have happened. And maybe that's not good either if you let that go on for too long. So there's definitely a push and a pull there where you want to accelerate times where the delay is not fun, but you want to revel in times where the delay is fun. If they're conversing back and forth and having a heated exchange, no, you shouldn't rush that. Even if it is taking 10 to 15 minutes, they're having role play. They're engaging in their characters and in the world. That's good. But if they're like just sitting there going, let's see, let me check my notes. What should we do? Then maybe, yeah, this is a time for you to jump in as a DM and be like, oh, a horse runs by and he's carrying something that's important to this moment, and get their attention and start driving things back on. Or have like an enemy start approaching down a hallway. Oh, you hear the footsteps of an enemy coming closer, and okay, now it's time to accelerate and keep going because that's a monster.
Or you could use the Deborah Ann Wool school of DMing and give them the clues that they need to solve the puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. Just give them the answer to the puzzle because you're on a 90-minute clock and they're not getting it.
Yep.
I just think that the circumstances under which your game is operating to probably play into this a little bit. If you have a 90-minute stream, you're going to have to push people a little bit more because you need your audience to be engaged, or you need to get to the end before you never get to play this game again. But if you just have a home game and it's going to meet every week and it doesn't really matter if they necessarily get to the next bit because everyone's kind of bought into the game and it's an established kind of campaign, I think let people take the extra 10 minutes so that they're not kicking themselves for the rest of the night thinking, if I had just had 5 more minutes, I could have thought of this thing. But I do think that there's like, I liked the comment about like walking down the hallway kind of thing. Like you can give context clues to like remind people, hey, real world is still happening, but not kind of force them in a specific direction.
Yeah, that seems to work better in my games. When I interrupt the game, it needs to be something more like the clock is ticking down than me just saying like, okay, you do this. It's like, so if it's just something like, oh, we're deciding how to get off this sinking ship. It's like, okay, well, you feel the water at your feet. Okay, now it's up to your knees. It's like, okay, this is serious. We can't keep talking about this all day. We've got to make a decisive action. That's better than if you just say like, if they're like all like arguing about how to get out of this room and you're like, the door opens. Okay, well, I guess we'll go through the door. Like, yeah, now you've taken away their choice or their decision making and made it less fun. Yeah, it's just, you just have to be patient and you have to let people enjoy the game because the moment's not going to be as good as it is in your head if they haven't bought into the moments. If you're going to put a shocking betrayal on them, that betrayal is not going to matter if they don't give a shit about the person who's betraying them. So you've got to put in the time and be patient enough to let that relationship form so that when they're betrayed, it's like way more intense. Or when somebody dies, it matters. Yeah, it's just all about, you gotta give time for things to stew. And it sucks because it's like, I just want to be right there doing that thing.
I feel you, definitely.
In our most recent game, I felt a moment of this. We were planning on how to get past a Fomorian township, village, or whatever, and we all had I'm playing a barbarian, so I'm learning with the limitations of having really great abilities to deal damage and really terrible skills and no spells, which is I miss my bard. But so I was kind of looking to everyone else, and I think we kind of invented 3 separate plans, and we couldn't figure out how to coordinate them or which one to go with until, I think the DM has to also be aware that the players are also feeling that pressure psychologically. So one of them might crack far before you do. Jareka was just I turn into a stench cow when I run into the city. I'm like, oh shit, everyone do the stuff, and it worked. Yeah, the best plans in D&D don't survive contact with the dice, so you just rock and roll with it.
Yeah, Matt Colville once said, it is not your player's job to solve your puzzles, it is your job to solve their solutions.
Yes,
I like
is
that.
Very true.
Yeah.
I was also going to quote our dear Matt Colville and say, as a DM, if you're having trouble, his philosophy of DMing was, when he's asked by his players, did you have fun? He asked them if they had fun. And it's kind of like a Schrodinger's cat thing. His philosophy about DMing is, if the players had fun, I had fun. And so that is kind of, if you're thinking about, oh, this is taking too long, and I know there's a really cool narrative beat around the corner, just remember that they might be having the time of their life trying to hash this out. And then one of them will probably just pull the trigger and you'll get there eventually. Yeah, if you start pushing too hard, the suspension of disbelief can be lost and the immersion can be lost because the feeling of railroading is never, I don't think it's necessarily the feeling of I had to go this way. It's that I was made to go this way. I think there's a subtle distinction there. Obviously, the players have bought into the social contract if we want to go on the adventure you send us on. But for us to believe in it, we need to get there on our own terms.
I think that's
I
very
have to
accurate.
say, one of the things that I felt the most frustrated about in our game is when we were on the Dragon Turtle, and it felt like there were no other options. We just had to
fight to Aboleth,
get to whatever and do whatever. So I think it's about trying to make it seem like the characters have free will, even though they don't in any sense of the word. But letting people come to their own decisions in their own time, but within the context kind of thing.
And it's a really hard thing to do because the part of the love of being a DM is wanting to put this story before your players and wanting to see them get to it. I know I've felt that too when I've been running games. Just this NPC isn't important. Why have you been talking to them for 2 hours? It happens. It totally happens. They play, but that's a compliment to your game too, right? When your players fall in love with the thing that you thought was just window dressing, that means you've created a rich world.
Yeah, I think it's true. I think if your players are kind of silent but not making decision, maybe push them. But if they're talking and actively engaging, then kind of back off and sit back and let them figure out their creative solutions. And I think that if you have a player, because this person was specifically saying a player was saying that they should push people along, maybe say to that player, I want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to voice their opinions and have their own say in what's happening in the game. And I think some people's personalities are yep, I stated my opinion, let's move people.
Yeah, my opinion was right, though, so let's do this.
I had the best plan, so please move everyone along to my plan. In general, I agree with all of these things, and they are all great advices.
It's true.
Let's see. The next question is, how do you subtly redirect a lost group? This is from user Dedigan. He says, how do you subtly redirect a lost group? I recently started DMing for my group, and they're lost. They don't know it, but they've traveled 150 miles in the exact wrong direction. Do I let them keep going, or what kind of real-world consequence would you impose? I don't want to create a video game feel that they can spend as much time to do their quest as they want, but I also don't want to seem like I am punishing them for not being railroaded into a quest I designed.
Why can't your quest just be in the place that they have now traveled to?
Yeah,
Exactly!
This is the
That's what I
exact
was gonna
reason that
say.
D&D is not a video game. So I don't care if you go left or right to Mordor. Eventually you will get to Mordor. Because that's the point of your
You went
journey.
150 miles in the wrong direction, so maybe it's the right direction now. Like, they've gone 150 miles, like, how did you let them do that without ever correcting them until now? When they're 150 miles off in the wrong direction, congratulations, that's now the right direction, and you're just gonna plop whatever you had the other way down in front of them, because you're not gonna be like,
Right.
your god appears before you and tells you to travel back 150 miles and then another 100 miles to get to their current new course. It's like, no, it's not gonna happen.
150 miles in the wrong direction.
That's a long time. They've been
Yes.
traveling.
You,
They've been
like-
walking for a very long time. What have they
Maybe
been
I was
doing the
wrong
whole
about this
time?
player autonomy thing.
Yeah.
I want to instill in them a sense. I want to give them the chance to. No, turn them around, send them back.
Here's
Sorry,
the
that's-
worst part of this thread, which is the edit to his post, which says, thanks for all the suggestions. I think I'll just let them go to see how it plays out, and if I toss the whole quest, i.e. if they fail it, then so be it.
Is this like, does this person think that D&D has a correct answer?
This is kind of like the adversarial DM that you hear about, but you never want. This guy clearly believes that his party has done something wrong, and he is coming here for justification to punish them. It's funny because the top comment is actually, you're the DM. You're the god of your universe. Part of DMing is the ability to improvise. Why not just say they've been headed in the right direction the whole time? So they've already gotten the good advice. Like, follow the good advice. Why did you come to that other conclusion?
Like, also, how did they get 150 miles away? Like, they must think that they've been going in the right direction. Have you told them they're going the wrong way? And they just said, yeah, fuck it, we want to go this way instead.
Clearly, he has never told. Like, clearly, he is so hardcore on not intervening. They're like, okay, so the quest says that we need to fly as the crow flies on the second Sunday. That's east, right? And everybody's like, yeah, I think that's east. And he's over there like, no, it's west. And they're like, all right, we'll go east. And he's like, oh shit, they're going the wrong way. Well, I'm the DM. I cannot interfere in any possible way. And then 150 miles later, that's like, what, 3-4 sessions? Now he's come to Reddit and he's like, hey guys, for the last 6 weeks, my friends have been going in the wrong direction. Should I tell them? You should have told
Should
them
I interfere
the
at
first one.
all?
Yeah.
Should I drop
Like-
any hints whatsoever?
I think
This
this
is crazy.
Yeah.
You're all
the
marked for
perfect-
destiny, but the god of this universe doesn't give a fickle fuck where you
I
end
mean,
up.
it could be that, like, the players are like, oh, you want us to go that way? We're not going that way.
Yeah,
Like, it
I
could
was
just be
thinking
a giant,
maybe
like,
that.
ugh.
His specific phrasing is that they have been going in the wrong direction. Do I let them keep going? Like, they don't really know it, but. So that
I
implies.
think for me, I would just make it into, I would just turn it into humor, because that's what I do. I would say, like, oh, it looks like you're reaching the edge of the map, but actually you just wrap around.
You
Like a
started.
bad, like, old video game
Yeah,
trope,
yeah,
and
like
then
Final
it's like,
Fantasy, yeah.
You're good now.
Or something like, oh, actually, you reach this town and they tell you've been going the wrong direction this entire time. And then you travel all the way back and you arrive at the place you should have been going to. Like, okay,
Yeah.
just 2 seconds.
Montage.
Like, you're
Yeah.
there. I assume that you can handle.
I'm skimming these comments, and like a bunch of people are like, a great DM will never railroad their players, so you should just let them go in the wrong direction. I think we have an incorrect definition of what railroading is.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. Railroading is not.
It's the anathema. It
Yes.
must be avoided at all
Yes.
costs.
Obviously, you
including
have a story
giving helpful hints to the
Yes.
player.
I have
you
to
want to
just-
tell.
read this entire thing. A truly good DM will not attempt to railroad a group even in the slightest fashion. If they go completely off track, then you need to learn to roll with it. Of course,
like they're trolling him.
If they are constantly ignoring what you have planned for them, don't hold back on your righteous DM fury. What is happening in this question answer?
I'll tell you what's happening. This is some fire and brimstone D&D right here.
Yes.
This is some
Oh, dear
old
God.
Southern Baptist D&D, like the original D&D.
The accent is getting stronger with
It's
each
getting
word.
stronger with each word. Yeah, somebody else also says you should tell them they failed the quest and that the princess died or the demon lord has taken over or whatever the scenario is.
Good thing
Wow,
they're
fun.
150 miles from it.
Yeah,
They were already fleeing.
never
Yeah.
even...
We ain't dealing with that shit. Yeah.
You failed. You suck. You didn't follow my clues. Are you having fun? Are you enjoying it?
That's kind of hard to come back from.
Yeah.
And I would walk 500 miles in the wrong direction just to spite my DM.
Yeah, it's railroading is when you confine players to a singular set of options and give them no ability to input or influence that direction. And even then, it's not always wrong.
Especially if your players think that they're heading off to do the quest. They're like, yep, we're going to go and save the princess. And they say, we're going to turn right down the road. And that is not the direction that they are supposed to go. Maybe they come to a town in which someone says, have you heard about the horrible princess problem? Back down the road in the other direction.
They just come across somebody.
I'm just trying to think. I'm thinking of other DMs I've seen, and they would just be like, "No, you remember that the bartender actually said right? Oh, okay, problem solved." Like, okay, I think we've answered that question, despite the person asking it clearly not wanting that advice.
New DM here. How do you handle players that want to control what other players or NPCs do, or want to change the story?
So the example specifically that this person gave was that their player was trying to suggest connections to their PC's backstory in what the DM was describing, to the nth degree, like every single opportunity.
Wow, you
so I
really
think it's
get
a
around.
matter, in this case, of excess, but I think the question still stands.
Yeah. I thought this was more the player who's trying to be like, no, don't use this spell, or no, don't attack.
To optimize your gameplay in this scenario, you should use
his
Fireball
AC,
instead
yeah.
of Knock.
Instead of knock.
Just do knocks on their brain.
Yeah. And their brain opens automatically. No save.
That's the way magic works.
I was going to say that if you have a player who's bringing a Mary Sue character to the table, someone who's just like the background story of everybody, they're everywhere and they've done everything and they've got ties into every single thing, they need to, like, I would start talking about the reality. You were a farmer before this. How do you know the king? You sold him a turnip? Something? And he remembers you? Turnip farmer? Like, I think it starts straining credulity, and I would try to maybe take it from the narrative perspective of how could that possibly be the case?
Yeah, it seems like this person had a very elaborate backstory with lots of bad things and dramatic stuff that happened and really wanted them to be wrapped in. And maybe one of the best ways that you could try to deal with this is say, like, I do have plans to wrap in people's backstories, but when we get to it, you will know.
Yeah. If you start being and I say this being the bard of the party, but if you start being the spotlight stealer, it starts becoming munchkinism, and that is problematic.
I mean, I think, to me, it just sounds like the guy wants to be a DM, so maybe he should just go run his own
A
game.
DM,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like he wants to just kind of make some decisions, make some NPCs a little more different. Just go run your own game, bud. Like, if you feel like you know better than your DM, then go do better. go do it yourself.
Yeah, I do think it does come down to personalities. You know, we've said this before, but some personalities will work in that scenario and some won't. And I think players can railroad DMs or railroad other players just as easily as DMs can railroad. So I think that in a case where it's not a problem and people are getting what they want out of the scenario, then that's fine. But if you're going to go to Reddit and ask the question, obviously it's not fine.
Let's do a real quick last one. I like, how can I reward my PCs
Yes.
other than XP or magical items?
I like it.
My favorite part of this is the top result was someone just said, here's my reminder list of non-monetary rewards. And it's just an awesome listing of things
Land.
you can give them. Include,
Map.
yeah, fame, shop discounts,
Oh, Jay,
requisition
on this
rights.
list is special plants. I would like special plants, please.
You've been given a lot of special plants.
I know. It's true. Jay has rewarded me with special plants and
It's true.
squirrels, and it has worked very well.
Private club access. We need a club.
Listen, I have to make the whole trapped damsel arc less awful every way I can, okay? I have to make this as painless as possible for both you and me.
It's true.
Right.
I am in a
Band-Aid off.
cage, and I
Just gotta
do
get
need
it out
to
of the
be.
way.
I do need to be rescued.
It is a difficult situation I've put myself in here where, like, Fia's Fia's got the really cool sword, so she's the most dangerous to the bad guy, but trapping her is not a great story beat, actually. Kind of a bad trope, really. So it's like, how do I empower Fia as much as possible in her trappedness? And it's like, okay, I'll let her possess people and also have friends in the stuff. I'm just trying. I'm trying.
Also, woodland creatures. I have woodland creatures that
do.
visit me, and they watch over me while I sleep, just to add to the Snow White theme. Or whatever. It's fine. I'm totally okay with being a Disney princess.
So getting back to the question.
The right to tax or levy is one of the things on this list. It was like, I want a D&D Boston Tea Party where the townspeople revolt against the party.
This is clearly one of those strongholds kind of
Yeah.
players.
Yeah.
So in perhaps a unique turn, definitely something I've never experienced before, Jay has rewarded me with more characters to roleplay. And I'm super excited because I like role-playing a lot. And right now it's 3. It's 3 whole characters.
And making characters, too, is also your favorite.
I think it's important to know what motivates each of your players. Like, what do they like, and what is their character like? So, like, it's a balance between the two things, I think. And so I think that you can kind of balance those things.
I would
out.
say that Jay definitely picked up on my desire to play a new character, because I saw how much just face-tearing destruction Draka's Barbarian was doing. And I was like, I want to do big numbers in the fighting and not just sing my little songs. And so I have done that now, and I am the Barbarian, and I am doing the big numbers, and now I got the caveat emptor, and I'm like, but I want to sing my stupid songs. But I am...
It's the thing about barbarians. I felt exactly the same way about it.
Yeah. Have we been spending all this time and you're just kind of like, well, I did my 3 attacks. I'll see you in a round.
Couple, but, you know, after we ungrubbed ourselves, first couple fights, I was like, yes, damage. And then I was like, but that's my option. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I gave you the decisionist, not the decisionist, the obviator bag, and
yeah.
the
So Jay has been really good
Glavian.
about giving me more tools, like the obviator bag and the
Glavian,
Glavian,
which lets you call lightning, which is a really cool
Definitely.
You've used it so many times. You've used it, in my opinion, more out of combat than in combat, as like an intimidation tool, as like a
Bird
cool
roaster.
moment, to, like as a tool.
I might have fried a crow.
Yeah.
And then
as a
its
tool to generate cool
girlfriends
moments.
came.
So that's another thing is, you're worried about giving out too many magical items. Maybe give out suboptimal magical items that are cool, as opposed
Like
to
a cape
optimized
of
magical items.
billowing.
Yeah.
Or
Or giving a
something
barbarian
else.
the ability to cast a magic spell, because that's not going to be the best thing for the barbarian to do most of the time damage-wise, but it could still be really cool for them to be able to do a thing that they can't normally do.
Definitely, like
That's
just like another tool, because you have your weapon and
I
you
mean,
have your fists.
You
but
can
that's
attest, Jerika,
it.
having the ability to call lightning has really helped you in a lot of RP scenarios.
Definitely, yes. Even like thaumaturgy.
Yeah, you can do some really
Definitely.
cool stuff with just a basic cantrips. Have a lot of cool
The
things.
flavor
So I really
cantrips,
liked
yeah.
on here that cantrip training was one of the things that they have listed as non-monetary rewards. And I think that part of this came from this person's problem resulted from drawing deck of many things and becoming very disparate levels from each other, or powerful from each other. So I think cantrips have a lot of ability to kind of pick up extra things for people.
Yeah, and if you've got one player who has a lot more power than everyone else, I could totally understand. Like, the wrong answer is to empower everyone else to catch up to that person. I've done that
Yeah.
before. It doesn't go well. Then you just have an overpowered party. So it's definitely you're on the right track by looking for alternative ways to reward that player while the others catch up at the correct pace. I've linked this before. Weak magic items is a magic item generator that generates randomized weak magical items. It's very fun because all the magical effects are less than a +1 weapon. So they're very, very basic magical effects, but they're all really interesting. And you can ascribe a number of magical effects, and you can obviously these are just like baseline to build your actual magic item off of. Because a lot of these are going to be not quite right out of the gate because they're randomized. And it's a great list. You can use it to come up with all sorts of magical junk to give your players that's not going to be overpowered. Or just like they said, give them fun roleplay things, pets, toys, let them play a different character for a little bit, do whatever appeals to your player.
Pets.
Yeah.
That's Chris Perkins' Raffle Crew thing, I think.
Well, everyone, that was another episode of Insight Check. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, we want to say thank you to Amy T. Falcone for our faces. Without you, we would not have faces. As well, thank you to Vinswept for their amazing Never Stand Alone track, which we use for our intro and outro. And we also want to say, if you have a moment, we would really appreciate if you would give us a rating on iTunes. It does not take very long, and it is very helpful to us and the growth of our show. We really, really appreciate it, and we'll give you a shout out, because, we love it. Other than that, thank you very much for tuning in, and as always,
We're answering your cues from our collective A's.
This
Was
Insight.
Jack!
I think Matt Colville had the, again.
Are you and Air getting the royalty checks? Because I want to cut.
Matt Colville. Does it go by how many times we say his name?
Exactly. I'm
We
getting
really should've
5
penned that
cents
deal.
every
Yeah.
time we talk about him.
I'm getting 10 cents on the Colville people. Get this going.
Whoa, you're eating 10? What the heck?
Listen,
Sugar
man.
Daddy.
All right. So anyway, Matt Colville.
Matthew R. Coville.
Esquire.
Squire.